Okay, so the three camp alum storytellers that we have this evening are Marcus Hobbs, who went to camp in 2003, Jason Luckett, who went to camp in the 90s, and Lecia Brooks, who went to camp in the 70s. And so they're going to go ahead and introduce themselves first before we get into the storytelling. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Lecia Brooks to go ahead and introduce herself, and then pass it on to Marcus and Jason. So over to you, Lecia.
Thanks, April. I just can't believe it. I'm looking at you, Eva. I can't believe it. Jeanette Bronson, and just everyone. Thank you, um, April and your team for pulling this together. I really, really appreciate it. I know it's just introductions. My name is Lecia. I use she, her pronouns. I live in Montgomery, Alabama. And yes, I went to camp as a camper in 1974. More later.
Thanks, Lecia. And then I'll go ahead and pass it over to Jason.
Hi. Hello. Can you hear me? It's Jason here. Yeah, Jason Luckett. And I was an adult when I went to camp. I didn't go to camp. Actually, I was a leader. I did the campfire, sang around the campfire at the end of the night, and was in all the dialogues and things like that. So, just really glad to be with you all because it's such a beautiful organization and an event. So more later.
Thanks, Jason. And over to you, Marcus.
Marcus Hobbs, he, him pronouns. I went to camp in 2003. I was a high school senior at Millikan High School. And yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. Thank you for introducing yourselves and just letting us know, your connection to camp. And we're going to get into it right now. So super excited to hear your stories. So our first story that, we're inviting you to share is a story of belonging, courage, and connection that you experienced at camp. So what was a story that came up for you that where you experienced either belonging, courage, and connection? Um, and I'll go the other way around. So we'll go ahead and start with Marcus. Marcus, if you want to go ahead and share. Yeah, what was
Yeah.
that like for you at camp?
First, getting there, I was given the flyer by my principal. At first, I laughed at it. I didn't think it was something I would be um, enjoy. I didn't think I would enjoy it. But getting there, stepping off the bus, all the other high schools, all that was just courage, right? And then when you start to see the different exercises that were used to bring the conversation about race out, to talk about injustices, and now I feel like I have a place to talk about these things because yes, I went to Millikan High School and being there, all the black kids hung out in one space. So for the longest, I've always considered Millikan to have a high population of black students until graduation. We were like 2%. But going to the camp, I was able to express how I felt about race, about microaggressions, about injustices, and to feel heard and seen. That was an amazing feeling. Um, and it came at a pivotal time because I lost two uncles in my senior year. So there was I remember there was a group and we were talking about emotions and feelings or something like that. And I suppressed the feelings and compartmentalized the death of my both two of my uncles. And that moment, I just laid it all out. I just cried like a baby at 17 years old, and that was the first time I cried in forever. But that space was given to me to do that. Um, so I would say, the courageous part is getting there, and then feeling the emotion of just care and passion and love being in that space. That's that's my story.
Thank you so much for sharing, Marcus, and just sharing again how camp, the transformational power of camp and what you experienced. So thank you so much for sharing. I'll go ahead and pass it over to Jason to answer that question and to share that story.
Okay, connection. Well, uh, I I got involved with NCCJ after my father passed, and was inspired. He was a therapist, a psychologist, and did he worked in projects in Long Beach, and we had the memorial there, and the way that the people to spoke about my father, about how he met people where they were. He could speak to anybody, and he was a mentor, and it inspired me so much, and I wanted to get involved, and so I got involved with I I don't know how I found NCCJ, but I started doing music for them. I was doing music for I was playing shows and music for commercials and things like that. But I started doing music for their plays, and then I got into facilitation training, because I had heard about Brotherhood Sisterhood Camp, and I thought, wow, I wish I could do something like that. And they said, well, you can just come to facilitation training. And then I was invited to do Brotherhood Sisterhood Camp, to do the campfire at the end of the day, play my songs, and also be involved in the facilitation. And it was just incredible. I'm biracial from Irvine. And it was so interesting to be in the Black group there, and eye-opening, and and uncomfortable at times. And there was another adult leader there, Marcy, who was kind of like always a bit of a rock for me when I was like, wait, what's going on here? I don't understand this. So it was lovely to connect with her, and then just to connect with kids that were like I was when I was a kid, biracial, trying to figure out where you fit, and I wanted to share this. I do a show every month in Pasadena now, and somebody started coming that I recognized, and we kind of rekindled our friendship. But I didn't really know where to place her from exactly, and I got this letter from her, and and I mean, I could read the whole thing kind of, but basically what it was that I I took the time to be with her, and she said, I told you this 20 years ago, but I want to thank you again, because taking that time with me changed my trajectory, and now I'm living this life that I really, really love. And it's because, you took that time with me. And I mean, honestly, I can't remember. And she says, maybe I was just another camper that you held space for. And that's and that's what we get to do, holding space for people is amazing. And it kind of like, it's like, oh, Dad, you know, I was like, wow, maybe I got there a little bit. So I'm really grateful for that. So anyway, that's the answer to that question.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you so much for sharing your story and the letter too. Thank you for bringing that into the space. Appreciate you. I'll go ahead and pass it over to Lecia.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Marcus. I was with Jason and Marcus in the small group, and I said, Jason, I can't believe like he's still smiling. He was like, that's how I remember you, always bringing light, and you were a wonderful part of camp. I mean, there's so many stories, belonging, courage, connection. Just mostly I would say that camp was a transformative experience for me, and it is who I am today. And like, who knew? Um, Planning a camp and facilitating a week-long camp and trainings and all of that will prepare you for life, right? But it really has in my life, and I'm just so grateful. I am who I am because of camp. I'm able to feel like I belong because I belonged at camp and worked with so many of you, not about me. I worked with so many of you as you the people who were part of my training or when I was co-directing know, like I can like tell you what to do, but y'all did it and just created these beautiful, beautiful spaces of belonging. Um, and we had such courage, but we didn't even call it courage, you know. It was just like it was all before we even had conversations about courage, connection, belonging, it wasn't a thing. Jason to be like in a biracial space and sharing group, like it was like before all of that. We created like all of that. Um, it's just really, really amazing. I today, I can say that, I take a strong stance against anti-Semitism because of camp. Like I advocate for, different groups and people and just value identity and all of that so much because of camp. Like it's not something that I made up or studied or, on my own. It was just really because of camp. So it was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience. And I still make really nice posters, like, making all those posters. And I won't let other people do it. Like, no, I got this. Like, we know how to make posters. And facilitating community meetings and large group meetings that I can facilitating on, night 4, night 5. Oh my God, I could talk in any room, any group. Like, it's not a thing. If you can facilitate a room of people who have like gone through intense dialogue, like all day and just the emotions, like what we held was amazing. Amazing. Um, I only wish more people could come because everyone that comes out of it, like, just has a different view and appreciation for, I mean, these are the people who will build a multiracial democracy, who recognize the beauty of it without losing self. Because still I love being Black, but and I want a truly inclusive multiracial democracy. So anyway, it's just so many stories I can't even say. So, but and I have connections with people still. I see Diane is on the phone. Sylvia O I live in Montgomery, Alabama now, and have since 2004, which is a whole nother experience, and I don't think I would have been able to do that without camp. Sylvia O visited me last year. Diane's been there. Amy's been here. Like Sergio, I talk to him every day. The relationships that I made at camp are still relationships that lead and guide my life because these people know me, I know them, and you know, you don't need other friends when you have that. So, thank you, my friends, all the friends I made at camp. Appreciate you.
I just think thank you so much gratitude for your share, Lecia, and everyone else, and Marcus and Jason. I just feel like so many things that y'all were sharing were deeply resonating from my experiences at camp too, like the connections that you make, the sense of community and belonging. I think are ring true for all of us. It's something that makes camp so special. So thank you all for sharing that. And for our last story round, if y'all could share your stories that explore how the lessons that you learned at camp continue to ripple into your lives today, into your communities, and into the ways that you are currently working on building a more just world. And the question is going to go in the chat. Thank you so much for who is putting that in there. So just how has what you learned at camp rippled into your life? So I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, you want to start, Marcus? Go for it.
I'm hesitant. After I graduated high school, I did a lot of advocating and helping youth find their voice. Now that I'm older, since I've evolved to now have my own nonprofit where I give youth a voice. So I provide programming to teach students how to advocate for themselves, how to um, understand their emotions, how to feel in a healthy way. Um, I, I found this cause that people didn't even expect to be something that you can do in a nonprofit, but I would take over laundromats and provide free laundry to the community once a month and then have resources at the laundromat so that mothers didn't have to make that choice of washing their clothes versus their kids' clothes. Um, I use what I've learned at camp and over in my life to provide hope to people in Long Beach. And because of that, I was just recognized as 2026 Peacemaker of the Year and Grand Marshal of the Dr. King Parade. Though it was a moment, um, it just shows me that the work that I'm doing is being noticed. Um, and I owe it to CCJ, I owe it to PBS, I owe it to my diverse group of friends, all like I can keep going and they all radicalized me to be the human that I am today. And my son followed my footsteps. So he could continue this path of giving people a voice, treat people like they're human, right? We all go through a human experience and the whole space to people. So um because of the facilitators that camp allowed me, coming from where I came from, a voice, because where I grew up, ageism, adultism was prevalent. You stay in the kid's place. You're not heard. You don't. It's just so much that happens in my household. So getting there, I'm like, oh, this is what it feels like to be able to express how you feel and not get in trouble. This is what it feels like to have support. I didn't know what support felt like until I got to camp. So now I know how to give it now. Um, Give it to the community. And I still do it to this day. Like I just left some fifth graders and they were all able to express what it's like to be angry. And then we talk about that anger and then we figure out ways to cope. And these are things that I didn't even understand at 10 years old. So um yeah, just it's just been a blessing to have experienced camp in 2003 and to have met so many people along the way. It's just been an amazing trip for me. So thank you for allowing me to come in and speak and tell my story.
Um, well, I think it really, like I said, I was doing one sort of gig, and then I decided to choose camp instead of a job, and it it changed things a little bit. And since then, I've worked with teenagers, little ones, and seniors, all using some of the facilitation stuff that I learned through camp, even and through creativity, creating spaces for people to connect their worlds through songs, through poetry, storytelling, and it's been wonderful. And then I have my show that I do once a month, and I bring people from all sorts of different backgrounds to touch upon jazz a little bit with what they do, and it's a really beautiful open space. And I think that having that experience with camp was is what led me to be able to do all of these things. So yeah, that's how I carry on.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you for sharing. And I'll pass it over to you, Lecia, to close us up on this campfire.
Okay, I'll try to be brief. As I said, like in camp has changed me in so many ways, or integrated into my life, or I don't know the right mix. But I thought of this one example that from my job, and I was speaking at an event at at a college campus, and my work then was really solely focused on hate and extremism, and these white nationalists were in the audience, and whatever, they were heckling me. It was fine. But I like offered to talk to. I was like, oh no, no, that's fine. They were heckling, and I was like, oh no, no, that's fine. You have a question? Like it was facilitating, in the lodge or something. Um, and then after my talk, then I ran over to them. I was like, hey, let's talk. What were you saying? Blah blah blah. And I certainly wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for camp. Even though I do recognize and do all I can to um, thwart, stop, push back on white supremacy and the bad actors that are engaged in that. I I still like am drawn to, like, there was this young person. I was like what? He was so upset. And I'm like, just I wanted to hear his story. And yeah. So just to have that interest in an avowed white supremacist, trying to hear his story. So that's how one way camp has impacted my life, or lessons I learned at camp, that everyone has a story, and people don't end up in shit for no reason. So that's my story.
Thank you for sharing. And yeah, again, thank you all so much for sharing your stories of just, again, your camp experience, but also from there, right? Taking that learning, taking those connections, taking all that you unlearned and learned into your lives in the future, and just sharing some stories of what that's looked like in very real ways. And again, just appreciate your vulnerability and opening yourselves up to the community. So thank you so much.